Hello, I'm Ja-Rek, and this is the first episode from a series of movies where I will describe really bad practice in the programming. So let's get started with a practice that is repeated by many programmers. The practice is of course orchestrating the logic in the controller of the MVC pattern, which leads, as you can guess, to breaking the MVC pattern. Probably some of you are thinking about something like a FAT controller, or MVC on diet, or maybe MediaR, or something else. Maybe you heard about it on the YouTube or blogs. Unfortunately, in my view, the people who promote it do not say everything, because keeping the controller thin is not a problem itself. They are just not showing what exactly caused the problem. The fact that the controllers are thin should be just a side effect of using the MVC pattern. The main advantage of using the MVC pattern in the testing and development context is the characteristic separation of the module and the presentation. Yes, as you heard, the MVC is about the separation of the presentation and module. The controller, module and view are just the responsibilities or roles in the MVC pattern. The separation between controllers and views isn't so important, because the presentation is nothing but a composition of the controllers and views. So the best way to think about it is thinking like about two layers, where the presentation layer contains controllers and views. As I mentioned before, thanks to the separation, there will be fewer dependencies that can just disturb writing the tests and make the tests much longer. I guarantee you that after writing the tests, where each has about 15 lines of code instead of 6 or fewer, you will have enough of everything. I see what causes the problem and why people can be confused. In most common diagrams, the controller is depicted as something between module and view. So let's imagine that this is the place of our separation between module and view. Okay, now I think that the module is the persistent object. It's the object which we create for object relational mapping, or any data that we stored in the database. So, according to this, the controller should be the best place where I process this data from the module, right? No, it's not right. We just have broken the encapsulation of module abstraction. This is the problem with single responsibility principle and separation of concern. The module is not a persistence object. It's not an aggregate. It's not an object at all. The module is the way we solve any problem or how we process a piece of work. There can be many things under the word module. For example, it can be a module where are many transaction scripts or domain models. The controller should never know how we implemented this, how the data is processed. Okay, I think that it's gonna be everything what I had to say. Really thank you for your attention, I hope that you enjoy it. And I also encourage you to read my article about similar subject. The link you will find in the description. See you later.